They killed his dog, but what they really did was awaken a storm that had been sleeping. They didn't just take something from John Wick, they reminded him who he is. In silence, in grief, in unimaginable pain, he didn't scream. He sharpened, he remembered, he prepared. Because in a world that demands chaos, the most dangerous man is the one who says nothing, the one who walks away from noise and walks toward purpose. That's the first lesson the world keeps forgetting. Silence is not weakness. The more you explain, the more fragile you appear. The louder you react, the more you hand over power. And the harder you try to prove you're right, the clearer it becomes that someone got under your skin. But John Wick, he doesn't explain, he doesn't beg, he doesn't post or prove. He moves, he acts, he lets silence be the storm before the reckoning. Because some things don't need to be announced, they need to be unleashed. In this world of noise, silence is no longer passivity. It's a strategy, a weapon, a shield. When they twist your words, when truth becomes entertainment for the crowd, when they mock your pain for likes and clout, this is no longer conversation, it's warfare. And you don't enter the battlefield unarmed. Your greatest armor is silence. Your greatest weapon, time. When you stop explaining, karma starts moving. John never sought revenge for applause. He didn't crave attention. He disappeared. He worked in silence. And when he came back, they didn't see it coming. You don't need to shout to be heard. You don't need to defend yourself to be right. You let your absence speak. You let your peace scream. Because truth doesn't need backup. It has endurance. Lies sprint. Truth lasts. When you fall quiet, the universe doesn't. It begins whispering truth into the spaces where your voice used to be. That's where strength lives. Not in noise, but in stillness. In the calm before the reckoning. In the silence before karma collects its debt. They will lie about you. They will spread venom while smiling. They will twist your image until you don't recognize it. And your instinct will scream to fight back. But don't. Hold your frame. Like John standing alone in the rain, surrounded, calm, collected. Not because he's outnumbered, but because they are. You don't plead. You don't prove. You outlast. That's the Stoic path. Marcus Aurelius said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." That's it. You live by your code, not by their confusion. They betrayed you. They turned their back. They laughed behind yours. They feasted on your loyalty. You trusted them, and they sold it cheap. But when betrayal comes, it wants something more than your heartbreak. It wants your attention. Because pain feeds the petty. Confrontation feeds the coward. But when you give them nothing, not rage, not revenge, not even a word, you take away their power. You don't just go silent, you elevate. And that absence, that cuts deeper than any insult ever could. Let them crave the chaos. Let them wait for the breakdown, the explosion. Give them silence instead. Let them rot in the echo of the loyalty they wasted. A Stoic doesn't chase justice in the streets. He lets justice catch up on its own. Seneca said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Your pain is not weakness, it's pressure. And under pressure, legends are born. They insult you because it's all they have. Sarcasm, jabs, passive aggression, these are the cheap weapons of the weak. They don't want to speak truth. They want to provoke a reaction because your reaction proves they matter. But what if you don't react? What if you let your silence dismantle them piece by piece? That's what John taught us. Not every insult deserves a response. Some people are not opponents, they're distractions. You don't fight every battle, you choose your war. Because when they insulted John, when they taunted him, they thought he was weak. But he didn't argue. He buried them in silence. And in that silence, he became legend. The best revenge isn't shouting back. It's becoming so composed, they can't touch you. That's power, that's precision, that's discipline. And then there are those who twist stories to play the victim. They cry louder. They manipulate the spotlight. They frame themselves as innocent so that your logic looks like cruelty. They don't seek truth. They seek attention. Don't step into their theater. Don't argue in their circus. Let them put on their show. The mask will slip. And when it does, the crowd will see what you saw all along. All you have to do is stay still, stay silent. Let the weight of their own lies crush them. You showed up for people. You gave. You tried. You stayed. And in return, they overlooked you. Not because you lacked value, but because you never made them fear your absence. You became the background, the familiar, the predictable, until you stopped, until your silence filled the room they used to take for granted. And suddenly, they heard the echo of everything they ignored. You didn't need to yell, you just needed to leave. That's what John did. When the world stopped valuing his peace, he returned with fury. You gave them access, they wasted it. You gave them loyalty, they poisoned it. And when they realize what they lost, don't go back. That chapter closed, that bridge burned, that door locked. Self-respect doesn't reopen what disrespect destroyed. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And freedom means this: you don't explain your silence, you let it speak. When you master silence, you stop reacting and start commanding. People try to provoke you not because they're brave, but because it's the only way they feel powerful. They poke, they produced, they bait. And when you don't flinch, you become untouchable. When John faced provocation, He didn't rise in anger, he rose in purpose. And that's when the fear began. Because no one fears noise, but they do fear calm. They fear the man who stares without blinking, who walks without rushing, who fights without shouting. That's you now. And here's the final blow, the one that changes everything. When they realize you're gone, really gone, not just physically, but spiritually, emotionally, silently, they crumble. Because your silence becomes a mirror. It shows them what they did, who they were, what they broke. And by the time they beg to return, the door's not just closed, it's disappeared. You don't explain why. You just keep walking. Like John, in that final scene, walking into the unknown, scarred, quiet, free. So let them lie, let them betray, let them insult, provoke, regret. Your job is not to respond. Your job is to rise, not louder, not angrier, just higher. Let your silence scream through your actions. Let your absence echo where your presence once stood. Because karma doesn't need your voice. It just needs your patience. They fired the first shot. You gave no warning, just results. And when they ask, where did he go? Let them look around and find only echoes. Let them wonder, why didn't she fight back? And let the silence answer. Let them remember how they underestimated the one who needed no spotlight, who worked in silence and shocked the world with results. And when they ask, where did he go? Let them look around and find only echoes. Let them wonder, why didn't she fight back? And let the silence answer. Let them remember how they underestimated the one who needed no spotlight, who worked in silence and shocked the world with results. Like John Wick, you don't announce your return. You become it. Quiet, relentless, untouchable. Because power isn't always heard. Sometimes it's felt in silence, in discipline, in unstoppable momentum.